What have been your kind of main takeaways from today and from last week? Are they the same conversations? Are they slightly different?
There's been some crossover. I think looking back on last week in Cannes and also reflecting back to the London podcast show, which was back in May.
Yes.
There's a key trend that I'm hearing more and more, which I've believed in since the start of the year actually, which is that I believe there's a lot of emphasis on ad tech, and rightly so. You know, at Acast we have a huge amount of pioneering targeting and so much work that goes into that, and a fantastic team, and rightly so. It's so important to hit the right person at the right time and so on. But what I'm starting to hear about a lot and thinking about is going back to the message, the actual creative that we're offering people. And it doesn't have to be, you know, an amazing piece of branded content. I'm talking about a simple ad spot, be it audio, TV, online,
the copy.
The copy. And I think we get so lost in roles and remits which involve clever ad tech and buying routes and so on. We're almost ignoring that message that is the vehicle to get a story into a consumer's brain. And that's actually where you might, even if you were to reach someone that's not target audience, you could convert them with the right message. So I think, you know, increasingly now, I'd obviously more and more talk about actually the creative side of it and what works in people's minds.
Yeah, and I think AI obviously has an impact on the ad tech and the targeting side, but it's interesting when you think about the creative and the optimization. I think that's what agencies are trying to figure out, and I'm sure that media owners like yourselves are also trying to figure out how that fits in and where the human is and where the AI is.
Totally, and I think with AI, there's a lot of work that's gone into identifying how that works for many media companies, such as ourselves. You know, for our podcasters, they look at how it can make their shows better through research, through sound quality, things like that. But I think from looking at how we can make creative, it's interesting. There's companies now who will use voice-generated AI, and some of it's fantastic. I think there's still amazing things that can be done with real, authentic voice at the same time, but I think there's use cases for all. So for smaller businesses and self-serve models, I think user-generated AI can be fantastic. Longer form with higher budgets, I think, again, what we do with our existing production partners can be superb as well.
Yeah. And creativity in media and where that collides is a really big thing for us at our events and across our content. But I think maybe, Nigel Sharrock was just on stage, and he was saying he started his career back in the days of a full service agency, whereas now everything's quite separate. And I think, why do you think creativity has kind of gone down the list of what is important for campaigns, or why has it been deprioritized? Has it been deprioritized?
I think it has. I think there's been a obsession with fear. There's a huge amount of fear with so much talk of brand safety and so much of the negativity we've seen in the news recently about, political advertising and, obviously the wars and all the kind of the negative stories coming out, which brands quite rightly are concerned about being around. And I think that's been, the industry's been built on this: brand suitability, brand safety, voice to tech allowing voice to transcription and so on. I think part of this is really taking the focus away from the message within an ad. So I think that's been a huge growth area.
And since this is our kind of halfway point for the year, be just curious. Obviously, we can guess who's going to win the election, but it's still not certain. But even further ahead, just for the rest of the half of the year, for media or for advertising more widely, what would you like to see? More creativity, I guess. More creativity,
yeah. I think that it's going to be this moment now where we're going to the election. Obviously, the government stopped spending. We've got a summer of sports here as well. We've got the Euros, got the Olympics. So it's been a very late market. I think most media owners will say that as well. We had our last campaign sign off for sponsorship around the Euros about 3 days before it started. It's unbelievable. We never had that before. So I think a lot of people have been nervous with their budgets around this kind of time. So I think once we get through the summer and we have a new government in place, I'm assuming it's a new government in place, I think the certainty that comes with that will hopefully see the ad land pick up and budgets come back into all media owners in the market.
Yeah, I think one trend that we saw in the Bloomberg presentation was kind of more optimism
for sure.
Going forward. And so that's quite a nice story to be telling, and we are in the industry of telling stories.
Exactly, and that's something that Mark Reed from WPP talked about quite well last week. It's this newfound confidence coming back to the market after a couple of tough years. I think hopefully from here on we'll find better times ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a really good note to end on. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
If you like this video, please subscribe. The Media Leader is the UK's leading source of analysis, opinion and data for people who work in advertising and media.